Leaving Colmar, France, we traveled 200 miles east to Fussen, Germany. Crossing the Rhine River at the border, we got our first taste of driving on Germany's autobahns. Just stay to the right to avoid the anger and ire of all the fast drivers. The Seven Stones Fountain is located in front of the TI. Built in 1995 to celebrate Fussen's 700th birthday, the heads at the top of the columns nod when water is pumped through the fountain. The historic cemetery of St. Sebastian offers a peaceful and reflective oasis. It is located in a corner between the old medieval wall and the Franciscan monastery. It contains the grave of Dominique Quaglio, who painted the scenes decorating the walls of Hohenschwangau Castle in 1835. Along the medieval wall is a memorial to those from Fussen who died in World War I. And in one corner of the graveyard, simple wooden crosses mark the graves of several Franciscan monks. In the time of King Ludwig, Fussen was rich from the textile industry. The Lech River was used to raft goods to larger German cities lying to the north. Rafters would construct a raft, float downriver, sell their commerce, and then sell the wood from the rafts, and then return to Fussen by land and repeat the process. The rafters' wealth allowed them to build the Church of the Holy Spirit that today serves the old folks' home that is adjacent to it. At the Bread Market Square, we find a fountain that was dedicated to the 200 violin and lute makers of Fussen. St. Magnus Basilica, which is the largest cathedral in Fussen, is dedicated to a saint who reportedly performed miracles in this area during the 8th century. The High Castle, long the summertime residence of the Bishop of Augsburg, now houses a painting gallery. The city's main drag was once the Roman Via Claudia. Now it is dotted with cafes, shops, and strolling people. No trip to Fussen is complete until Mad King Ludwig's castles are visited. Hohenschwangau was Ludwig's boyhood home. The original castle was constructed in the 12th century, but was destroyed by Napoleon and rebuilt by Ludwig's father in 1830. The royal family used it until 1912 as a summer hunting lodge. We took a bus up to Mary's Bridge. This bridge spans the Polot Gorge and provides marvelous views of the Neuschwanstein Castle when the weather permits. You can hike above the bridge for even better views. Neuschwanstein Castle, built between 1869 and 1886, is a modern iron and brick fairy tale structure that inspired Walt Disney's Cinderella Castle. Ludwig lived in this castle only 140 days before he died, and construction stopped. At his death, Ludwig had plans for another castle called Falkenstein that would have made Neuschwanstein look shabby. During World War II, the Nazis used this castle to store stolen art. After the war, Allied authorities spent a year sorting through and redistributing the art that filled 49 rail cars. From Mary's Bridge, you can hike down a trail to get to the Neuschwanstein Castle. After touring the castle, you can take a horse-drawn buggy back down to the parking lots. From the castle, we drove through snow-covered country roads to get to Wieskirch. This church was built to house a statue of Jesus that was said to have wept in 1738, and thus began to draw hundreds of pilgrims to the site. The church is decorated in over-the-top Rococo style. From Wieskirk, we drove to Oberammergau. This village is most famous for its Passion Play that is produced every 10 years. Began in 1633, it celebrates the town being spared the ravages of the plague. The town is noted also for its wood-carving industry and half-timbered houses frescoed with biblical scenes and fairy tale characters. The church in Oberammergau is a good example of Bavarian Baroque architecture. Statues are made of wood, then stuccoed and gilded to look like marble or gold. The dome has a painting that depicts the deaths of Peter and Paul. Outside the church is a small graveyard with a memorial plaque that reads, "We honor and remember the victims of the violence that our land gave the world." Leaving Oberammergau, we drove through some of the Bavarian Alps to arrive at Linderhof Castle. Ludwig lived much of his last 8 years in this castle as a recluse. It reminded us of a downsized Versailles, and we were told by one of the guides that Ludwig greatly admired Louis XIV. This homey palace is surrounded by gardens and fountains. The statues dotting the landscape were covered to protect them from the winter weather. Ludwig was enamored with Richard Wagner's operas. He had an artificial grotto constructed out of concrete in which he had Wagner perform many of his operas. Leaving Linderhof, we crossed into Austria and drove through the Plancy River Valley before returning to Fussen. We spent our last day at Fussen driving to Innsbruck to view some of the Austrian Alps.